Hello, sugar friends, and welcome to another episode of From Pain to Sweet Purpose with your host, Yvette. This podcast aims to inspire others to turn their painful experiences in life into purpose. This week's episode is titled The Rainbow After the Rain. I always like to start by encouraging moms who have lost a child. After losing my son, that definitely was a driving force behind my journey of turning my pain into purpose. I know firsthand how overwhelming it could be going through such a profound loss. In my case, it was the loss of a child. Your pain might be from a divorce, a job, or a significant hardship. During those times, it feels like every day is filled with rain. For me, there were many rainy days after giving birth to my son, RJ, and coming home from the hospital to an empty nursery. It felt like my entire world, it was turned upside down. One day, everything was perfect. My husband and I, we had a daughter. We were expecting a son. We recently had purchased a house in the neighborhood we desired. Christmas was approaching. You know, I envisioned us sitting around the fireplace, opening Christmas gifts, with my daughter and our son. Instead, we end up having my son's funeral 4 days before Christmas. And like I said, I feel like my world turned upside down. As I reflect back and, on those days, I remember coming from the home from the hospital and all I could feel like was I felt like I got hit by like a bus and just the lights went out. Everything was just dark and like I couldn't even try to gather what happened. I remember like for 4 days after that, I felt like I didn't even talk. I was just devastated. It was just, you know, a lot of rainy days. My husband had took 4 to 6 weeks off of work after that happened. And when I was about 6, 7 months pregnant, we had decided that it was best for me to stay home and not work. So I left my job that I had for 18 years. And my son had went to the hospital after he was born for 9 days. So the hospital bills was like in the six figures. And like I said, we have just recently purchased a new home and we had spent, the money we had saved for a down payment for our house. So when my husband was off work for 4 to 6 weeks and I wasn't working at the time, the six-figure hospital bill, it seemed like out of nowhere, us going from extremely good credit score to now everything seemed like it's just 1 or 2 months thrown totally out of, whack. Just so much stuff it seemed like came along with those dark days. We faced potentially, down the line losing our home. It seemed like one thing just snowballed. I feel like we went through a season of just storms after we lost our son. It was just a very hard time. I'm sharing stuff that I have never shared because I felt like when I was, ready to start talking about my story, I wanted to tell it from the most honest and vulnerable place in hopes that if another mom or someone is going through something hard, that they can relate and take hope, from the things that I have been through. So not only was we dealing with the loss of our son, but, now facing financial challenges and a crazy hospital bill, just so much stuff that came along with that. And if that hadn't been worse enough, my husband being, off work and, us now facing some financial struggles, I had thought, maybe if I got pregnant again, that would help, heal some of the pain that I was going through. To only realize when we started trying month after month to realize we were facing secondary infertility issues. That was devastating with dealing with not only just losing our son after a perfect pregnancy, no complications, During delivery, he lost oxygen and ended up passing away. And previously, before, I never had problem getting, pregnant. And so for this to face that, after that, just coming to grips with not only did our son pass away, but we might not ever be able to have another child. So sometimes just dealing with that, infertility problems can be so stressful in a marriage and a home, but dealing with secondary infertility after losing your child is just next level devastating. I began to question everything, my faith. I began to wonder, man, do God even like me? I just don't understand. My husband and I, we're good people. We're honest, amazing parents. We live in integrity. My husband is a real good man, a good father. I just didn't understand. I just felt like, God, I just, don't understand. How could something like this happen to us? And looking back, it's just amazing. I feel like I always wonder, how do God take the worst thing that happened in your life and use it to bring the best thing out of you? Although losing my son by far is the worst thing that ever happened to me, it still amazes me the beauty that God gave me for my ashes. I'm not just talking about now, a lot of people know that now my husband and I own and run a successful business that's been voted one of Michigan's best small business. We've won awards, been featured on PBS, all those things. I feel like that's just something, our business is something that we're blessed to do, but that's not who we are. So I feel like the people we have become and the women I have become, the way I feel like I now know God, the power of God, the way that I've been able to tap into the person that I probably was sent here for this earth to become, it still amazes me. I'm doing things that I never thought or dreamed or even envisioned or was even maybe wanting to do. So God sometimes I think, God, you have used the worst situation in my life to bring out the best version of me. And I feel like I haven't even tapped into the purpose of where I'm really hitting. The way that, us starting our business and building relationships in the community, the way we've been able to use those relationships to help others in the community in so many good ways, really to help them get to their best next step. In so many ways, we've been able to host events with, large crowds that inspired and encourages others. It's it's just amazing to me to know the mom that I now am, the what I'm teaching my daughter is priceless. The way she thinks now and the way she moves is so powerful to sit back and watch how God equipped me and with, you know, thoughts and power where I can now help the next lady. I'm able to walk alongside someone maybe that's going through a hardship or a dark place and encourage them to get up and keep moving. So the worst thing that happened to me, it really brought out the best in me. Things that I don't know if I would have ever tapped into without going through. Some stuff you only can get through going through a very painful storm in your life. Sometimes those storms and challenges and dark places, it brings out a new you. It births a whole new person. And I feel like the old Yvette, um, I guess I was to just say, died and a new Yvette was born from such a painful place to help others. So sometimes God will use situations and put you in places to help others. And I just, wanted to encourage you. I know it could be hard when you're going through such a devastating loss in a dark place. I know I've been there. I've walked that journey of so many dark days. Just, night you hoping for day, day you hoping for night. And wondering how will I ever get past this place. But I want to encourage you, keep going. If it's any moms out there that's dealing with infertility, problems of being able to become pregnant and all that, I know it's a dark place. I've been there. And, like I said, after losing my son to come to grips with, and we didn't end up having any more children after that. And, I'm sharing just honestly raw my story because, I want to help the next mom truly. And I said, God, if you know, give me the mind, the platform, I'm just gonna tell and share from a vulnerable place. So, I want you to know that I understand. I feel you. If you just need some days where you feel like you just need a word of encouragement from another mom that can understand, impacts me. I would love to just, you know, encourage you that it does get better. So I just wanted to be, that person that always is here to help other moms. And it might not even be a loss of a child. Like I always say, so many people, dark places can be so many things. A divorce, you feel like that, it sometimes you feel like that could have come to break you, to a loss of a job, so many things. But I just want you to just look up and feel hopeful in such a dark place that the rainbow, it will come after the rain. It might not seem like it. It might seem like you traveling down the darkest road and it don't seem like it's any hope, but there is a rainbow. It's coming. You got to just believe it. You got to keep moving forward. I feel like the loss of my son, I feel like it came to shake my whole foundation and destroy everything in my life. But with the help of God, I felt like I just dug deep. I got around other ladies that maybe had been through situations. I would listen to stories like I'm now telling, and it gave me strength to get up the next day and keep going. So I want to be that same woman to look back and pay it forward to a mom that might be in that place. Keep moving forward, or whatever situation you're going through, keep moving forward. And I know I might can't talk from a place of divorce or a place of so many things, but I can talk about a place of pain and getting up after that and finding your way to keep moving forward. So I just wanted to encourage you with that. And, like I always say, my pain led me to entrepreneurship. So I always like to even drop tips about that because I know some people listen to the podcast just for, business tips or different things. So if any moms, they purpose led them to entrepreneurship or chasing their dreams, sometimes even the storms in business is lining you up for success. I remember we had moved into the mall and we were just getting going, gaining momentum. We added another layer to our business where we started doing kids decorating classes because, we had a bigger space. But we didn't want to commit to signing a 5-year lease agreement. And if you didn't want to commit, if someone else came that wanted the space you was in and was willing to sign a longer term lease than you, when your short term lease came up, you had the chance of losing your space. But I felt like, okay, what's the 50-50 chance? What is chances that, that would happen or whatever, at the time. So we took the chance. We was gaining so much momentum in our business. Things was going good. Our classes was full. We had 24 to 36 students in each class. We was gaining like a lot of momentum. Things were going good. And as it would have it, someone ended up wanting our space. And that was just devastating for us. I just felt like, man, things is really starting to go good. We're starting to gain the momentum that we wanted. And someone wanted our space. So we had a time where we had to leave, because we didn't want, like I said, sign a 5-year lease agreement. We wanted to see how things would go before we wanted to commit. But that very thing, someone wanting our space, is what led us to the space we're now in. which is a building we now own downtown, a 3-story building. And the bonus is that we own it. But that wouldn't have happened if someone didn't want our space. So the thing that I thought was so hard at the time, it was just lining me up for steps to get me to where I really needed to be. So sometimes you have to just trust the process and realize that the rainbow comes after the rain. So I know in life it throws us so many hard things and so many challenges, but that very thing, that very divorce, that very loss of business or loss of space is really lining you up for your next season that you don't even realize. And sometimes it's hard to go through those spaces. And like I can never quite understand how God takes those very worst things that happen to you, but somehow brings out the best in you. And you still will never understand those things, but you have to trust God that He's working out all things for your good. And you have to just keep moving forward when you don't feel it, when you feel like hope is lost and all you see is rain and all you see is storms and just, will the pieces ever be able to be put back together? I just wanted to encourage you today just to keep going. And I know there is a rainbow waiting for you with your name on it. It's just waiting for you to keep walking through those storms with courage, with boldness, with authority, that your name has that rainbow on it. So I just want to encourage you, keep going. If there's a mom out there who feels like, will I ever get up after losing my child? You will. And I just want to be here to be that example and that encouragement that whatever you may be going through, keep moving forward. All right. Well, thanks for listening, sugar friends. I hope my story touched your heart and inspired you in some way to keep moving forward. And that no matter how tough the storm is, remember the rainbow always comes after the rain. Until next time, stay strong, keep the faith. Bye for now, sugar friends.